Major funding for these broadcasts has been provided by grants from Madison Realty Capital, Capital One Bank, Eastern Consolidated, New York Community Bank, M&T Bank, Sterling National Bank, Meridian Capital Group, Customers Bank, AmTrust Title, Ariel Property Advisors, Dime Community Bank. Additional funding has been provided by AVR Realty Company, Bank of America Merrill Lynch, Briarwood Organization, CBRE, Chase Commercial Term Lending, Chase Mortgage Lending, Citizens Bank, CPEX Real Estate Services, Colliers International NYC, Collins Building Services, Douglaston Development, Levine Builders, Flushing Bank, Friedman LLP, Handler Real Estate Organization, Handro Properties, Hodges Ward Elliott, Inc., Investors Bank, James D. Kuhn Real Estate Institute at Syracuse University, Kilroy Architectural Windows, Matone Group, Mercantile Bank, New Banks, Newmark Knight Frank, Optimum Window Manufacturing Corp., People's United Bank, Rockefeller Group, Rosewood Realty Group, SJP Properties, Stonehenge NYC, TD Bank, Terra CRG, the Meringoff Family Foundation, the Moynihan Organization, Moynihan Capital Partners, and these friends.
New Jersey, I think it was Livingston, okay? Cone's Knishes, cutting pickles, not the best in his class. Bridgeport, 1 year. London, good school teacher over there, tells him to operate a little different. Comes back to New York. Works for Prince Range. He's doing all these unique jobs. What does he know about public relations? He starts a public relations company. And now, today, the head of CREtech, a VC guy, my friend Michael Beckerman. Thank you for being here.
I don't know. Are we done now? I don't know how to follow that.
Okay.
Thank you for having me. You're an icon, and you've been a dear friend and an incredible supporter of mine and the industry at large. So it's a pleasure to be here with you, my friend.
Tell me about your parents.
Oh boy, how much time do we have?
Dad came in, Dad, and then Mom.
My parents, my dad grew up in the Bronx, and my mom grew up Madison Avenue in Manhattan.
Okay, so tell me about Dad's background.
So Dad, Korean War, became an art director on Madison Avenue in the Mad Men era. And spent most of his career as an art director in New York for some of the iconic agencies.
And Mom, the woman from Manhattan?
So Mom, Mom was a stay-at-home mom, although she didn't stay at home too often, and eventually came to work with my dad in a small graphic design firm when he left New York. And then became...
The firm was in New Jersey, right?
Right. And the firm went on for a few years, and then she became a best-selling author and playwright.
Talk to me a little bit about the best-selling author. How'd she get into that?
So I'm one of 5, 3 sisters and a brother, and they started having kids. And so Mom wanted sort of to tell her own life story for her grandkids. She put together a manuscript. She would illustrate it. She would have a simple sort of short story about where she was at that time in her life, and then she would illustrate it, very sort of crude, rudimentary, simple illustrations, but very creative. And it just got passed around, and one day she got a call from Algonquin, and they said, "We want to buy the rights to your book."
What was the name of the book?
Love, Loss, and What I Wore. And she became a best-selling author, toured the country, and her sort of premise was telling her life story, women and their life stories through fashion and what they wore. Not really so much high fashion, just what they wore at that particular time becoming a metaphor for their life and their
So how
experiences.
did Nora get involved?
So then Nora Ephron had opted the rights to the first book and turned it into a play on Broadway, which had a great run.
And does Mom still write?
Mom still writes. Mom's, I think, done 3 or 4 books. She's blogs. She's very active.
And we have a picture of Mom with your daughter, right?
We do. And my daughter and my son, yes.
Okay, so let's go back to you because we have these great baby pictures, okay? So tell me about how did your parents end up in New Jersey?
So originally, I think when they first got married, they were in Stamford, Connecticut, and then they eventually moved to Livingston. It was a smaller, suburban community at that time, and they started their family in Livingston.
So where are you in the 5?
I'm in the middle.
You're in the middle, okay? And you're born
64.
64, right? We have the picture of you in 67 at 3 years of age. We even have the picture of you as a little baby over there. So talk to me about growing up in Livingston.
So
The early back.
the early
years.
the Go Lancers, right? It was a great small town suburban community. We were sort of a combination of the Brady Bunch versus meets the Addams Family, in a sense that my parents, while they were together, they were never really together. So we were alone most of the time, the 5 of us. So we had a pretty unusual childhood, but
Wait a second. You said to me Dad was like a madman. Because,
Right.
You know the show. He was in the advertising business. He spent time on Madison Avenue. He was creating some advertising, right?
Right, yeah.
And where was Mom during this period of time?
Good question.
Especially since Mom's going to watch this, so you better be good on this.
No, I think again, my parents they were together, they were married, but they lived apart for most of my childhood. So we would see them sort of passing. They were always civil and kind, but they were not together in the house. So Dad would come home late at night, and Mom we would see periodically.
So, but you said to me Mom and Dad got together in a business later on.
They did. So they were always very friendly. I mean, I never really saw them argue or fight, or there wasn't any sort of disruption. It's just at that time, maybe it was a 70s thing, or maybe it was just my house. The 5 of us, just kind of fended for ourselves. We fed ourselves. We took care of each other.
Yeah, you had some interesting jobs as a kid, right? Tell me.
I
mean,
did.
I know there was the pharmacy, but before the pharmacy, Cones, Knishes. Talk to me about some of those jobs that really created where you are today, which we're still not sure what it is.
I'm still not sure. I mean, I always worked. So at a very early age, my parents stressed that you should work. So I would go find whatever jobs we could find, whether it was landscaping, cutting lawns, or finally I found my way across Livingston, the other side of town, always the good side of town, to working as a short order cook. Actually, I was hired as a busboy, and then what happened was the gentleman that owned the establishment left one day.
What was the name of the establishment?
Cones, Knishes, of course. So he disappeared.
Did they ever find him?
No, I don't think he ever came back. Well, he came back towards the very end. So me and a bunch of teenagers, 13, 14, 15-year-olds, at that time, somebody should have gone to jail, but they did.
Was it a Knish store, or was it?
It was like a
diner?
countertop, and then we were like hot dogs, hamburgers, Reubens, tuna melts, things like that. And I started as the busboy, but then when Marvin left, nobody was there to cook. So I just said, I'll give it a shot. So I went from cutting pickles and bussing to making disgusting sloppy
I think
Reubens.
when we got together, you mentioned that you did some camp counseling once.
I was a camp counselor. I was at
Where
a
was
day
the camp?
Flanders, New Jersey. I was a camp counselor and had a great time, really enjoyed that. So it was always something, always working.
So where did you go to public school?
Livingston High School.
Livingston High School. Now, you said to me you were not the best student.
No, I was a horrible student. Not the best. Horrible. Terrible student. If I got a D+, it was, a holiday for me.
But it's interesting because today you're involved with MIT, right?
Yeah. Well, don't tell them about, the background. But yes, fortunate with the MIT Center for Real Estate is one of our partners on the event side of the business.
So how do you decide to go to the University of Bridgeport?
they were the only ones that would take me. So, I went through high school. I was completely unmotivated, uninterested, unchallenged, and I was just kind of going through the motions. And, I guess I had to go to college, so I got into this basic studies program for a year, and I was uninterested, unmotivated there. And I did a year's worth of service there, and it just wasn't for me. It just didn't take.
So how, after the 1 year at Bridgeport, did you figure London was the appropriate place for the short order cook?
I think like everything in my life, Michael, it's just like I'm just opportunistic, and I just take advantage of the things that are presented in front of me.
What was the opportunity?
I saw a flyer on the wall somewhere that said study abroad, and I was like, I got to get the hell out of here. This ain't working for me, so let me just go someplace completely different. I never left the country before then. So next thing I knew, I was on a plane going to London, arriving at London early in the morning, got whisked off to a family in Wales to stay with them for 2 weeks, sort of for some sort of orientation to living abroad. And they wouldn't talk to me, and they had no interest. I think they just took the money. And then next thing I knew, I was in London going to school, studying literature and history.
Now, was this a college, or was
Yeah, it was University of London.
And it was like one of these, like University of Phoenix, or?
No, it's still around. It's a great school. There's 5 universities at that time. London School of Economics was the great one, the known. Mine was a very small liberal arts college within there. And I think looking back, because I've thought about it, how I got in, I think what I recall is I wrote an essay about myself, what I was looking to do with my life, and what I was looking to study. And I think that's what got me in, because I think somebody actually read it. I wish I had it, but.
So how long do you spend at the University of London?
I was there about a year and change. And I didn't hang out with any Americans. I didn't really know any Americans.
Did you work when you were there?
I did. I was a janitor. I cleaned toilets.
Okay, and where? At the college?
At the college. So I would go to school, and then I would clean toilets.
And where'd you live? On the campus? Or?
Yeah, on campus. Very, very small campus.
So you spend a year there?
Yeah.
And then you decide that's not the place?
I'd gotten a call from my parents who said that their small graphic design firm that they were running was in trouble. And somebody had done them wrong, and could I come back and help? And so I said, okay, I'm coming back home, and started to figure out what was going on.
So what are you, 20, 21?
I was probably 20. Yeah, I was probably 20. And
so you come back to Livingston?
I came back, and the agency was not doing well, their firm. They were a graphic design firm. And there wasn't enough to pay me, so I had to take on a few extra jobs. So I was also driving for a pharmacy, delivering their medications. I was a stock boy, and I was answering the phones for another company. So I had like 3 or 4 jobs.
How'd you get to Prince Range? I mean, Prince Range was a big company in New Jersey, okay?
I must have. I think
they
I
were
just
like P.C. Richards.
I think I just showed up one day.
And what were you over there, stock boy?
Stock boy.
Well, you weren't the salesman at that
No. And I wasn't good at that either. I wasn't a good stock boy.
Okay, so you're working part-time in the graphics business with mom and dad.
Yep.
You're working a variety of other jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens?
Then I decided to go on my own. I finally got the bug. Something clicked. The light switch
There was a teacher.
went off.
Didn't you mention there was a teacher who
In
your life?
So London was a profound change in my life for a couple of reasons. The first being is that I think I eventually later in life became a Buddhist, and discovered that all the answers for me lied inside. But I never knew that. I mean, growing up, I was either looking at why was my family so, effed up, and why was everybody else seem so normal, and why this, and why does this one have this? And I had, my house was, poor physical conditions. And it was always just, I didn't understand why everything around me was different. And then when I went to London, I had this profound revelation, which was, all the answers lied inside of me. And that taught me that I could survive.
It was this professor who brought this out, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah, and that was part of it. This professor, Dr. Sassoon, just kind of challenged me like nobody ever challenged me, and I didn't break. And he taught me great lessons in life about empathy and
Was he the
thinking
one who
about
got
the
you
other
involved
person.
with Buddha?
No, no, it just stuck with me. He taught me how to have empathy for other people, how to listen, how to be compassionate, and how to think. So that was because I had no life skills. I wasn't a gifted learner. I wasn't good at math. I could barely change a light bulb, as my wife will tell you now. But he taught me that I did have an ability to have empathy and to listen to people and to be kind. And that's what I discovered in London about myself. And that stayed with me forever.
So you come back. So what do? Get into the flyer business?
So I decided to go into and become my own agency. So that's what I knew how to do.
You decided to become an advertising agent.
I did. So I was doing, and my first client was a real estate developer in New Jersey.
Right?
What's that?
Vizione?
Vizzoni Group.
Vizzoni Group.
And this,
but how do you get them? I mean, as you said,
got
you had limited skills.
I got addresses.
Yeah.
And I sent them a letter, and I told them what I could do.
What could you do? What were you?
I said I was going to be very creative and work really hard for them. And this one person called me up out of 1,000 and said, "Okay, come on in and talk to us." And I did. And he said, "Okay, you're hired."
So what were you supposed to do? Write a
I had to figure it out after that.
Wait a second. You didn't know anything about
I knew
real
nothing.
estate?
I knew nothing. So I said, "What do you need?" He goes, "We need advertising." So I said, "Okay, I can figure it out." So I went and I found out what advertising was like. And then he said, "We need a press release." And I got a copy of what a press release looked like at the library. And I started copying that. And I just copied everything. So I built this company out of my 500 square foot condo, and I was doing it myself. And then I would sort of work with freelancers.
And you had a fax machine?
I had a fax machine, and I just focused on trying to service this one client. And then along the way, I attracted others, and I became, I think, pretty good at that craft.
So when does Beckerman PR open?
So I had been doing that for a few years, and again, mid-20s at that point. And I really started to realize that I didn't like the advertising part of the business. I didn't like the graphics part of the business. I really liked the PR and the media part of the business. So I took all the awards that I had won in advertising and graphics and all the revenue that was coming in.
You won some awards?
I won some
You never
awards.
told
I
me.
got them in the basement. Nobody knows. And I gave it away. I didn't give the awards away. I kept those. I gave away that business because I just wanted to start over and focus on the PR because nobody was really doing it in my neck of the woods.
Yeah, but originally you said to me you were more in the residential PR.
At that time, early 90s, residential was the big thing. There were big developers doing subdivisions across New Jersey, New York, Connecticut,
You also
Pennsylvania.
mentioned that there was something in the New York Times. You spoke to somebody at the New York Times one day, and they said to you, get involved with real estate?
I eventually got this niche in real estate PR. And I developed these great relationships with the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal reporters. And that was my go-to. So I restarted the career.
So when
in
did you
PR.
restart the career, would you say?
I would say late 90s. I started to really just focus on PR and understand that I'd read a few books that were very sort of paramount in my journey. One of them was When Hollywood Had a King by Connie Bruck about Lou Wasserman. And it was all about focusing on an industry, trying to become a category killer in that industry and representing everybody in one particular industry. And then I started to read about, sports agents as well, guys like Lee Steinberg and David Falk. They would specialize in a category. And I understood that if I did that, I would have a competitive edge and I could scale much more quickly than if I was a generalist.
So when did
and that's
you-
what I did.
Yeah, but originally you were mostly on that side of the Garden State. It was New Jersey people.
Yeah.
Right. How do you make the change and get into the Big Apple to start representing some of the major players in New
I think
York?
we developed a good reputation. The firm started to get some traction, and it just started to
When did it
expand.
become a firm? Okay, because when did it?
I
when
would
did
say,
it-
around the late 90s, it really started.
So
to
how many
set-
years was it?
I was probably in at that point. Somebody said to me, if you make it to 10 years, you've made it, and you'll really start to scale. And I did. I think it was about the 10-year mark. We really started to grow. And then, through the 2000s, we got up to about 70, 80 people. We had about 3 or 4 offices across
Right,
the
you
country.
had one in San Francisco.
We had San Francisco, we had New York, we had DC, we had Jersey.
Now, had you met your wife at that time?
I met my wife in 2000. We got married in 2003.
Right, and you met her at a Weicker?
I met her at a party in a real estate function.
So what'd she say about you in the PR business? I mean, was she...
Well, she threw a glass of wine at me, so I don't know what that meant, but that's how we met. I don't know if it was intentional. It probably was.
So what happens in the mid-2000s? You have this great PR firm, okay? Beckerman PR was a preeminent firm in New Jersey, also San Francisco and New York. You had broken into the New York market. You weren't an advertising company, we were a PR agency. And one day you say to yourself, I want to get out?
Yeah.
What happens?
I think, I've always had this thing inside me, Michael, that I challenge myself. I'm always motivated by being the best that I can be. And I felt at that time I was at the top of my game, and I just became very bored with myself. And it was just time for reinvention. And given my childhood, given that I'd built this agency from scratch by writing press releases in my condo 7 days a week, 20 hours a day by longhand, I'm never afraid of anything. There's nothing that I'm scared of. I mean, I've fed myself. I have, survived a lot of crap, and I keep going. So at that time, it was like, all right, I'm bored. I don't find it interesting. I'm at the top of my game. Money is great, but that never motivated me. I was never, ever motivated by anything material.
So you did
so I wanted to get out.
You did a reverse sale of the company, right?
I did. So I was like, well, how am I going to get out of this thing? I don't want to stay in this any longer. So I decided that the best way would be to acquire a few agencies and have them eventually buy me out. And that's what eventually I did. So, and it worked. It worked fantastic. I started that process 2008, made my first acquisition 2010, and I was, out a few years later, and the firm's thriving and doing well under new ownership, but with Keith Zackheim, who was my partner.
And they even keep the name
And
Beckerman.
they kept the names, we'll see when this airs if they still have my name, but.
So how do you decide on an entity called the news funnel? I mean.
Well, so what I realized was I wanted to go into something that was going to be the hardest thing that I could possibly do again, to just keep me learning, keep me on the edge, keep me motivated, keep me hungry. And that's what my drive is. So what don't I know anything about was tech. I'm not a tech guy. I was never interested in it, but I knew that for real estate, it was going to be something big at some point. So I had to go in.
Okay, so what was the initial?
So the first thing I went in was with a site that I could understand, which was the News Funnel, which was a content aggregator. So it was going to take everybody else's content, aggregate it in one place for all industry professionals, and allow companies to also publish to it. So that was my first foray.
So when does the start of the News Funnel?
So that was 2012. So I did that for a few years. That keeps going and scaling. And then the other one I realized.
Before we get to CREtech, so where is the News Funnel today?
It's going great. It's got about over 100,000 subscribers to it, and it's profitable, and it's growing and scaling.
And the News Funnel still is an aggregator of information, correct?
Yes.
Any other business?
Yeah, so coming from the PR side, I saw that the great opportunity was going to be for companies and people to become their own media. So that's what the News Funnel does. We want to collect and aggregate their media. Also, what I wanted to do was help companies create content. So we created another platform called the Content Funnel, which writes blogs and does social for real estate companies, particularly on the startup scene.
So then how do you decide to get involved with CREtech?
So, I'm blogging, I'm helping a lot of young startups understand this commercial real estate ecosystem. So I had gotten involved in this sort of volunteer community called CREtech that was started by this guy, Pierce Ninekin, who was a CBRE broker in San Francisco, later went to work for Airbnb, still there. And Pierce just was sort of the original guy that said, I'm going to put this ecosystem together, and started to run some events, and it was an opportunity to acquire him, and I did.
What is CREtech?
Our mission is to bring technology to the commercial real estate industry. So we do it through events mostly, but we also do it by publishing news. We have a directory, and we do advisory consulting work for startups as well. So we run about 6 to 8 events a year, and they're all growing and scaling.
What's taking place at these events?
So
Are these companies talking about it? Is an incubator of these events? Are you running an incubator? How do you decide on who's the next good tech company? Who's the next Airbnb or the next Uber?
So my day looks like I talk to startups all day, every day. I talk to the investors, the venture capitalists, the private equity, all day. Then I talk to the brokerage firms and their tech people, and the developers and their tech people. So my job is to help connect that community at my events. So we'll mostly focus on developers and their chief technology officers or their chief investment officers, and brokers on panels talking about what they're investing in, and then the venture capitalists as well.
But now you've gone to the next degree. You're acting more as an advisor.
Right.
Okay, and you're advising some of these companies in addition to being the matchmaker.
Yes.
The events were the matchmaking business, and now you're on the advisory business.
Yes.
So how do you make a decision on being the right advisor? And how do you make the decision who's the next Morty, or the next Loftsmart, or the next Bowery?
You know, I mean, I think because I've come from commercial real estate, I have a good sense for the industry and what's going to take. So in talking to all these startups, I think I have a good sense of who's going to get traction and what products are going to work.
But now, since you said basically you get bored when you feel that you've accomplished something, and since you're still
Turn
a young
the tables
man,
on me?
okay, so what do you think the next role of you?
I think I'm just getting started. I think this is literally the most fun I've ever had in my career. It's the most challenging. I mean, I'm around such smart people all day that most of the time I'm just sitting in awe and I'm trying to keep up and I'm just trying to educate myself. So I find myself as this sort of infinite learner by nature, and now I'm learning more than I've ever learned in my career.
Now, you're still involved with News Funnel also?
Of course.
So we have the News Funnel, we have CREtech, and we have the new CREtech advisory company, as we say. Tell me about family. Okay, you met this woman.
Yes, this wonderful
woman.
woman.
Through the wine.
Susan. Yes.
The wine over there at you at a White Cart party.
Yes.
And you have what?
We have 2 kids. My son's name is Tejin.
And how old is Tejin?
Tejin is 12, and my daughter is Lila, and she's 10.
Okay, and where's mom living these days?
Mom is in Jersey. Mom is in Jersey. Dad passed a few years ago, unfortunately.
And then you also had a sister who passed away.
I had a sister. My oldest sister passed away.
And what are the other brothers and sisters doing these days?
My younger brother is, he's just trying to figure it out and be happy and healthy. I have a sister in San Francisco with 2 wonderful, healthy kids, and I have a sister in Westfield, New Jersey with 3 wonderful children as well.
You know, so it was good that you were at Katz's Knishes and Prince Range, and I think the London trip, as you said, really was the changing point in your life. So thank you very much for being here, and hope you enjoyed yourself.
Thank you, Michael. It's been a privilege and an honor to spend time with you. Humbled. Thank you.